So first of all, I'd like to thank you for joining me. I am a diving and sailing specialist with Navionics, and today we're going to be talking about Navionics updates for sailors and divers. We're going to be talking about a few different things to do with updates. So first of all, I'm going to give you a little background on me. I've been a sailor and a scuba diver and free diver in South Florida and the Bahamas for over 10 years. And I've spent we spent a year sailing the Caribbean Bahamas with my partner Daryl and with my dog Sugar, who's sitting right here behind me. She's asleep on the couch, so if you hear a bark, that's her. And I got involved with Navionics because I was when we sailed the Caribbean and Bahamas, we used Navionics throughout the Caribbean and Bahamas, and we loved it. And when I got back, I was talking to a friend who I hadn't talked to in a long time, and I was telling him about these chips and the charts from Navionics. And he said, "Sweetie," he calls everybody Sweetie. He says, "Sweetie, I'm the national sales manager for Navionics." And I said, "Oh my gosh, okay." So he said, "We're looking for people that can help teach other people about our products. And would you like to be involved?" And that's exactly what I said. Yes, I'd love to do that because I had so much faith in Navionics products. So from there, I got involved with Navionics, and I get to tell people about their products. So as we continue, if you have a question, you can use the Q&A button in your panel. And if we don't get to any of the questions at the end, then I will email you. I'll have your email address from your registration, so I can email you the answer. And the webinar should last about 30 minutes. And if you do have any, like I said, if you do have any other questions that we don't get to, then I will answer them via email. And today, in the webinar today, we're going to talk about what is Navionics Updates, why is Navionics Updates useful to sailors and to divers, and how do you get Navionics Updates. And here on the right, the picture here you see is a before and after shot of before you update your chart, and then after you update your chart. So we'll see a lot more of that. Let's start off with what is Navionics Updates. Navionics Charts gets about 2,000 updates a day, and that's by integrating notices from mariners, from publications, from Navionics surveys, from user reports. All of those things come together to give more and more accurate charts, and every day they're updated. So if you update your charts, then you're going to get the latest data. With the Navionics charts, you get the nautical chart, which you see on the left. That's one layer. Another layer is Sonar chart. That layer gives you a more detailed contour lines. And then a third layer available with Navionics Updates is called Community Edits. Community Edits is where you as divers, sailors, and boaters can update the charts yourself. So if you see a place that, say, there's a boat out here where we sail and dive in the intercoastal, there was a sailboat that went down just outside the channel markers, and just part of it was barely touching the surface. So if you didn't know it was there, it could be really dangerous. So on our charts, I used Community Edits to mark the chart, and then when I got back to Wi-Fi, that data was automatically uploaded to the Navionics servers. Navionics reviews it and then includes it in the next updates so that other mariners can get that information as well. It's really important for us to do this because Navionics enables us to kind of take the power into our own hands. And if we see a place that the chart update could be useful to other mariners, it's kind of our responsibility to help everyone else. I know when I see something that I feel would be useful on the chart, I try to update it so that I have it later, but also so that you guys have it as well. So that's what Community Edits is. And we get thousands of those updates per day from Community Edits. So with Navionics Updates, if you own a current chip, like a Lowrance chip or any of those chips in the picture here, whether it's a Navionics chip or another manufacturer's chip, you can get Navionics updates at a discounted rate. So you pretty much just get credit for having that previous chip, and you can get updates for $99. With this, you can, if you have a silver, gold, Hot Max Premium, and a lot of the other Navionics cards, you can get Navionics updates at half price. What you get with Navionics updates is that you would have all of those layers that we've discussed in the last slide. Here you'll see you get that nautical chart layer, the sonar chart layer, and the community edits layer. You get the nautical, sonar, and community edits, and you get all of those updates. You get all the updates, those thousands of updates that I was telling you about. You get all of those for a year. If you wanted to put your chip into the computer and update it every single day for a year, then you can. If you want to update it once in a year, you can. I would suggest updating it at least once a month. Now we'll talk about why it's important to update your chip. But with that update, you would get all of those community edits and any updates to the chart that we had made via other methods. It's important to update your chips because your chips and your charts, whether it's an app or a chip, it's really important to update your charts because we do have a lot of movement in nautical charts. That some areas have moving sands, they move a lot. Some areas don't move nearly as much and some do. For example, there was a place in St. Martin when we were sailing the Caribbean, and it was marked with moving sands, so we were very careful. But the sands had moved since the last time it had been updated. So I made a community edit to make sure that people knew that those sands had moved over about 3 feet. And having those latest updates can, one, keep you sailors from running aground on areas that have especially moving prone areas. As divers, you'll see as the sands move and the ledges move, you'll be able to find more detailed, you'll be able to find the ledges where there could be really, really good diving. So you can use the sonar chart layer, as you see here in the middle, to find detailed spots. You can see that these right here, the sonar chart lines are very close together, which means that it drops off very quickly. So you can use those to find ledges and really cool places to dive. And in some of the screenshots and later in the presentation, I'll show you some examples of this. I'm going to show you a video of how you can get Navionics updates. This is an overview of updates and how you can get it. This is a really good video. So let's get it started here. So with Navionics updates, you can update your charts, and you can update those charts from a number of other charts. You get credit for having a different chip. When you get Navionics updates, you get all the Navionics Plus features, which, as I was saying, includes the nautical chart, the sonar chart, and the community edits layer. Here you can see the community edits, and you get the updates for a year. You can use these in a lot of different chart plotters. The Navionics update chip you can use in many, many different chart plotters. Some of the chips you can get as downloadable, and some you can get preloaded. So if you have Navionics updates if you buy the Navionics updates package, all you have to do is go to the website and click downloads, and plug in your Navionics updates card into your computer. And it's going to walk you through it. And the system guides you through exactly what to do. All you have to do is to follow the tutorial. The existing data will stay on your old card. You can still use your old card. And then it's going to update the new chip that you have with the data, with the Navionics Updates data, so the Navionics Plus data, all of those layers. The other option is to purchase an option that lets you select the area that you want, and then you download just the area that you want. So here in this tutorial, it's gonna, if that's the option that you choose, it's going to walk you through choosing the area that you want, and then it's going to give you a status as it downloads the different layers. And then your chip is ready to go. If you want to add more chart areas, you can. You can add more areas as often as you want, and you have access to this data for a year so that you can continue adding data. So let's see the difference in before and after an update. In this screenshot, I was in the Tortugas, and this was before I did the Navionics update. And then I did the Navionics update. I got the Navionics Plus data, which includes the Sonar chart layer. Now that you can see here the very, very detailed contour lines, and this is what comes with the Sonar chart layer. So before I could see where the different depths were, but now I can see exactly where the ledges are. These really tight contour lines here that are part of the Sonar chart layer. This lets me find very, very quick drop-offs. So I would want to dive this area, maybe right here. So these places that are quick drop-offs are usually really good for diving. And from a sailing perspective, if I was sailing up in this area, I could see exactly where and how quickly the contours raised again. So here you can see we're at about 32 feet, and then it very, very quickly raises up to about 8 feet and then to 3 feet. So I know that with a 5-1 draft, I could get into this area here where the thick contour lines are, because that's where the ledge is, but I don't want to go any further than that. So these are really useful, both as diver and a sailor. Excuse me. There's another one from this is also from the Tortugas. It's Bird Key. And here you can see the drop-offs are very, very tight, and there are a lot of drop-offs in this area. I'm just checking out the questions here. The red circles are buoys, and the little ducks, I always get questions about the little ducks. That's a reservation area, a preserve. So you need to look up, if you're looking at fishing and spearfishing in any area with a little duck in it, you should make sure to look up the regulations in that area because it is a preserve. Good questions. So here you can see, again, like I was saying, you can see very, very detailed contour lines. If you were to zoom into this, you would see these contour lines start to take shape and separate some, so they're not quite as just a dark area, but there's still it's a very, very good guide to helping figure out exactly where the drop-off is. Again, great for sailing, great for or any boating that you have any kind of draft, and great for picking out spots for diving or snorkeling. Here's one from the Bahamas. This is Conception Island. Before, in the Conception, you can see is 28 feet here and 700 feet here. So this, after the update, allows you to see exactly where the drop-off is. This is actually a great drop-off for diving if you want to do a wall, because you can see that the wall starts at a shallow depth. So you can get there via scuba, or if you're good enough, by free diving. And then you can see this wall from the surface or from diving, which is unusual, especially in our area in Florida, where the wall is at least a few hundred feet deep. So it's hard to get to via scuba or definitely free diving. So here you can see that that the reefs are marked, and these reefs are updated from time to time if we get feedback from users or from community edits or from our own scans. So if you are going out to an area like this that has a lot of reefs around the anchorage, here you can see the anchorage, and there are a lot of reefs around this anchorage, then I would highly suggest that you update your chart before you go any place like this. There's I don't think I even included the screenshot, but you should go and look it up. And Rum Cay in the Bahamas, if you're ever looking at going to the Bahamas, Rum Cay in the Bahamas is completely surrounded by reefs and just monstrous coral heads that are 15, 20 feet high off, just straight up off the bottom. So you can be in 20 feet and run aground on a coral head if you're not careful. And we used Navionics chart to pick our way in between the coral heads and made it safely into the harbor. So that was one day we were extremely grateful for the Navionics charts and extremely grateful for their quality. If you ever are interested in what data is available in an area on a chart, you can always go to the web app on the Navionics website. The link for that is just webapp.navionics.com, or you can go to Navionics, and there on the homepage is a link to the web app. The web app is going to let you zoom into an area and see exactly what data is available in that area. So what you see in the web app is what you would see on a chart if you were to purchase the updates and put it into your chart plotter. So another one here is in the Plaintes Keys. The Plaintes Keys are in the southern part of the Bahamas, and they are very little known. But if you have any interest in seeing the real Bahamas and not seeing people for quite some time, Plaintes are absolutely amazing. I mean, just beautiful, pristine. There's nobody there. Definitely don't go and anticipate being able to buy anything. There's nobody there, and there are no provisions, no water, no anything. So if you go prepared, but it is absolutely beautiful. And here you can see on the left the chart before the update, and then after the update, again, this is another one of those islands that has a wall around it and is just perfect for diving, snorkeling, and fishing. Actually, the fishing through here between these two islands, because there's a ravine underwater right in the middle of these two islands. You can see from those two drop-offs right side by side. The fishing in there is absolutely amazing. So this type of thing is what you would be looking for if you were looking for fishing spots, these drop-offs. And especially if you're looking for dives, you look for a drop-off that's in a shallow area, that starts in a shallow area. Here's another one in Plaintes. This is a zoomed in area of the Plaintes, where this was the old chart here on the top left, and on the bottom right you can see that the contours have been added, and it's a very distinct buildup to the shallows here, which is very typical of the Plaintes and very typical of a lot of the Bahamian Islands. This we would be very careful of as sailors, because we see a very distinct ledge, and then we see a lot of reefs, a lot of reefs here, coral heads. So you would want to be very carefully, depending on what your draft is. You can see that it's about 13 feet here, so you can very carefully pick your way through these coral heads into the anchorage. This is an interesting one, because this is the turning basin in Nassau. Now, Nassau is a very, very, very popular place to go boating. And before the updates, the turning basin had some pretty basic numbers, but as a sailor, sometimes you need to know exactly where these drop-offs are. And maybe not so much for diving in the turning basin. I wouldn't suggest diving there. If you've ever been there, you understand. All the other places that I've showed you, definitely great for diving. This one, not so much. But if you're looking for, if you're sailing in and you have a draft that's any bigger than 4 or 5 feet, which is normal for a sailboat, then you need to know where exactly you need to be turning around. And you can see from these updates that these drop-offs are pretty distinct. And you can see the detailed contours in here, so you can see exactly where you can turn around and how far you can go, how close to the edge you can go. This is really useful when you have a bigger draft. Some of the power boaters don't have nearly the draft, so it's not as big of a concern, but definitely something that's really useful for sailors. So what questions do you guys have? And we have a few minutes that we can address some questions if anyone has questions. Okay, so the first question, let me just scroll back. So the question about the Tortugas. Yes, this is all drop-offs around the island sets. So the Tortugas are, you can see all these different little islands and sandbars. This is the main island here. And the Tortugas are surrounded by I always say that if the Tortugas were on land on a mountain, they would be called moguls, because they're like skiing moguls, because there's so many bumps. There's so many different contours on the bottom, and this is a perfect example. Yes, this is, I know this might even look like it's a mistake or it's confusing, but these are actually all of the different ups and downs on the bottom. And these very tight black lines where they're close together is a place that it goes from deeper to shallower very quickly. When they're spread out like this in here, it goes from deeper to shallower a lot more slowly. It's a gradual increase, just like here, it's more gradual, but these dark lines are very tight increases or decreases in depth. One of the features of this sonar chart layer is that you can turn up or down the contour lines, so that if it is too many lines, say it's filled in and it's really dark in this area, maybe that's too many contour lines because all you can see is black. So if you want to turn it down, you actually can do that. Okay. Next question. Okay, so one of the things that you can do, and we talked about, so someone asked about Sonar Chart Live, and with Navionics, notice we said that we get about 2,000 updates a day. One of the features of Navionics is that you can actually record sonar readings from your own chart plotter. So if you have a chart plotter and you can put a chip into it and record your own sonar readings, then when you get back to your computer, you can update. You can take that chip from your chart plotter, put it into your computer, and then upload that data to Navionics, and Navionics will include that data. They review it, and then they include that data in the chart for everyone. So that's part of the updates that are part of our charts. So so you have the opportunity to upload your own data, so you can update your chart and help other people update their charts as well. Okay, if I didn't get to your question, then just checking. I see questions coming through, but they have a lot of, it looks like the technology might be a little off because there are a lot of little symbols and things in the questions. So whatever questions came through now, I'm going to answer via email after I try to decode what these say. And if I can't, then I will definitely email you and ask you what you were saying. So thank you so much for joining. And I will email each of you, since we're having trouble with the Q&A, I'll email you, each of you, with answers to your questions. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for your questions. And again, if I can't figure out what this was supposed to say on the questions, then I will email you and find out. Thank you so much again, and there will be a recording of this that's emailed out, and it'll be available on the Navionics website under the webinar section if you ever want to reference it or send it to someone. And it'll also be available on the Navionics YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining, and I will be in contact with many of you via email shortly.